Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Where did I unchew? There it is. April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. It's been about 9 months since I've owned a Morzh sauna tent. This is something I made a video back, 8 months ago about. And in this video, I want to revisit that sauna tent and show you how it's upheld against, like, I guess 9 months of nonstop use. We've been using this thing about 2 to 3 times a week regularly for the last 9 months. So if we were to say conservatively, we'd use it 10 times a month. So we've used it about 90 times. And the sauna tent has performed exceptionally well. It's still standing, it still cooks. It's kind of getting close. I feel like it's on its last legs. That's why I'm making this video, if I'm honest. But I've also been using it completely opposite to what the manufacturer recommends, which is, to use it sparingly on special occasions, i.e. take it camping with you for the weekend, then pack it all up, store it away. In my case, I literally just set it up in the field and it's been sitting there ever since. So without further ado, here's what it looks like, and here's the mini tour. If you leave your sauna tent out in a field in Southern Oregon for 9 months, it's gonna look like this. It started off very vivid black in color, and it's gotten bleached to the point where it's almost white. Where we live in our area, the seasons really shift the weather. Right now, it's something like 40-something degrees, 45 degrees. 2 months ago, it was in triple digits for 3.5 months, something like that. And so this tent maintained its color up until the point when the high heat of summer hit, and then it started bleaching itself pretty darn quickly. Here, I'll show you one of these lanyard things. One of the tie downs in the tent blew out. This just happened. We had high winds 2 nights ago, and so definitely the fabric is starting to degrade after all this time. But at the same time, this doesn't really affect whether or not we can sauna. I guess the other one blew out too. Check it out. Here's the other side. And same thing happened. So maybe that's just a weak point in the tent. I think that maybe if I took 2 big washers and squished it together with like an eyelet, I could repair this pretty easily. All of the beefed up lanyards, all the beefed up anchor points are doing just fine. I fashioned together a makeshift clothing and towel rack out of used farm equipment and a rake. If you like my ingenuity, smash the like button. Here's another problem area. So the door, which in this particular model has like an internal rib that keeps the door kind of door shaped, that thing cracked in a couple locations. So now when you open it, it looks like a broken bird wing. It broke here. Let me see if I can show you. Nope, it's not cooperating. Anyway, you get the picture. It broke here in this place. It broke down here. Oh, look, it ripped and broke down here just now. So that's not ideal, but it still works basically as a door, and also does not impair sauna function. When we step inside, you guys get a glimpse at our redneck Russian lifestyle. We're using painter's benches as our sauna seats, covered with towels so we don't burn our booties. 2 of them. These are just things we had laying around, and it was easier than building benches. And obviously we haven't done anything about it for 9 months. So it seems to be working just fine. Mari, come here. Sauna time. Come on. Come here. No? Okay. Come on, sauna time. Go. Up. All right, she doesn't want to. On the inside, it looks almost brand new. Check it out. All these ties are still strong. I think I made that black mark within the first couple days of owning this thing. Generally speaking though, it's still pretty white. I was really interested how this thing would hold up because this takes on a lot of heat, right? So the stove gets the hottest, the chimney starts radiating all that heat, and I was kind of worried that this part might melt, but it's still in good working order. I'm very pleased with that. Here's the other side of what we were talking about, that thing that blew out. And it is kind of problematic, I guess, because now the fabric has the potential to touch the stove. So I'm gonna have to address that sooner than later. And it might be as simple as like a DIY quick fix, something like that. Here's the main event, the stove. These are still the original rocks that I harvested at a rock quarry myself. I have a video all about how to do that, so you can save yourself a few $100. And this is the Intent, the bigger Intent stove made by Morzh. And I have to say, I'm incredibly impressed with its performance. You can see it's discolored quite a bit. Out the box, it was shiny and new. And now it kind of looks like patinaed or purple. But the thing rocks. This thing, it just cranks. It gets hot really fast. It has very thin walls, which means that it gets really hot and cools off relatively quickly, but it heats up really fast. And so one thing we noticed pretty quickly is that you can light this stove and 25 minutes later be having a very hot sauna. Whereas with my sauna trailer, the stove in there has much thicker walls, and so it takes a lot longer to get cranking. But then the flip side of that is it produces a different type of heat and stays hotter longer. And so, you know, like real sauna connoisseurs, they would probably have a few beefs to pick with this stove, if we're being honest. But also, those are kind of like first world problems. For the price point, for the compactability, the fact that it has heat shields and comes in such a small form factor, I've just been really pleased with how this thing's been performing. And one of my favorite features about it is how efficient it is. So my wife and I will do 2 or 3 saunas a week, and I usually clean this thing out like every 2 weeks. And so we'll go through quite a lot of wood during those sessions. And then when I pull out the ashtray, there's very little ashes in it. I can do a much better job, but I don't want to right now. You get the picture. It's pretty efficient. I mean, that's like, I don't know, a wheelbarrow full of wood completely turned into maybe an inch or 2 of ash in the bottom of a bucket. And so what that tells me is that it's able to process a wheelbarrow full of wood and turn it into a relatively small amount of ashes, which we throw in our compost. And so this thing burns very clean. You can see that its little mechanism for closure still functions just fine. And last but not least, I guess, is the window. The window has yellowed a little bit over time, which we don't ever notice because most of the time it's got condensation on it and it's just kind of frosty. It has no tears, it has no rips, it's still in perfect working order. But it doesn't have, you know, it's not brand new, it's not crystal clear anymore. I just also want to point out, since I just remembered, that these little pockets have been amazing. They have mesh on the bottom, and so when you take your sauna hats, your wet sauna hats after a session of banya, you put them in there wet, they drain overnight through those little mesh holes, and the next time you go to sauna, you're not putting on a funky piece of wet wool. Mari, come here. Come on, sauna time. Come on, up. Good girl, good girl. Say hi. Hi, YouTube. Overall, I'm very impressed with how long it's stood in its place. And if it blows down tomorrow, personally, I think that it would have been worth the money. I didn't pay for this one. They sent it to me free of charge. Knew they cost something like $1,000, but I did not think in a million years that you could repeatedly get plastic fabric up to 200 plus degrees and have it not deteriorate completely. And so the fact that this thing has lasted for 9 months, sitting in the same exact spot, being brutalized by Sergey, Kylie, and all of their friends and family, I think that's a really good sign. A good sign that the product is durable and probably worth the investment if you're into saunas and, that's a path you'd like to choose for yourself. What do you think? Leave me your thoughts in a comment below. I'm going to read them, especially after this video gets published. I definitely cruise around the comment section for a couple days. So leave a comment below. The last thing I want to do is fire it up and show you that it can still get cooking. So let's take a baseline reading now. We are currently sitting at about 62 degrees Fahrenheit. And the stove is not on. So I'm going to turn it on, wait a few minutes, and bring you guys back when it's hot. Ready, set, and we're back. Let's see how this thing is faring in here. Oh yeah, nice and toasty. Ta-da, ta-da. Damn, it's cooking. Those are some good looking coals. Whoa. Looks like we are sitting at 180 exactly. My favorite's like in the 200 range, 220, but from 180 upwards, it starts feeling good. When it gets to 140, that's too hot. I don't like it that hot. Anyway, that's all I have to say about that. Thank you so much for watching. My wife and I are gonna hop in here. She doesn't like when I mix business and pleasure, so I'm gonna leave you to your own devices. For more videos that are just like this, but are completely different, subscribe to my channel, Butenko Films. Ciao.